My name is Renata Iacine, and I'm application engineer at aga-cad, and today we have a web session about advanced practices of wood wall framing in Revit. And we create solutions for continuous beam acceleration based on the experience of the most advanced Revit users. And aga-cad is operating since 1988. And at the moment we have sold more than 8.5 commercial licenses in 129 countries. So we have training and certification centers, and at the same time we are Autodesk authorized developers. And we help to make it easier to bring BIM into life by eliminating tasks that do not create a value. Today you are going to learn how to easily frame multi-layer wooden wall frames and manage complex multi-layer L and T connections, then make wooden vertical, horizontal or mixed sidings, including nailers, then how to create log house, then how to add additional elements into the wooden frame like bracings, additional noggins, then how to easily make your own configuration for different wall types, how to make shop drawings automatically, and how to export all this information into CNC Machine. Okay. In general, our wood framing suite contains 4 products. This is Rafter Plus, Truss Plus, Wall Plus, Floor and Floor Plus, and we're working on a new solution with the name Roof Plus, which will be developed in the future. And today I just want to remind that we are going to talk about Wall Plus. And actually all the frames which can be created in the project could be exported to CNC Machine if needed. So in this case, today I'm going to show you how it can be done using frames from the wall, but in the same way you can export frames from the floors or from the rafters to any CNC machine. In general, Wall Plus, it's very good solution for working with, for framing your wall panels and making shop drawings. So it's actually very easy to use. And today actually I'm going to talk more about new version because a few weeks ago we have released a new version of this product, and I'm going to show you main features, what we have added. And even today actually I'm going to talk a little bit more about more complex framing, not just kind of simple one. Okay, and the benefits of the Wall Plus is just save your time, make easily shop drawings, then it's very easy to use, very easy to and user-friendly interface, and you can make really complete project. So in general it can go from modeling to manufacturing. Okay, and now I would like to switch to my Revit project. So this kind of example we would like to make today. I'm going to frame walls, but at the same time I would like to show more complex situation and more complex framing between, for example, joints between the windows or between the windows and doors and so on. So now I would like to switch to the empty project, and I would like to start from the beginning. So this is here we have walls and some floors, and if we take a look into the wall layers, here you can see that there are different wall layers added into this wall. So we're saying that here we're going to put the main frame, then we're going to add 2 nailer layers, then the horizontal siding and some external decoration on top of the siding. And from the internal side of this wall we're going to add the secondary frame and 2 sheetings from the internal side. So in this case, so this is like a kind of regular wall which comes from architectural model, so you can just very easily make your wall type with a plain Revit and assign materials. Now when we have such walls, now we can use wood and wall framing. So I will take this solution here, and we can make a link between the wall type and configurations. So here we're using and we're making a link between the wall type and the framing layers. So here I'm going to add the main frame with such configuration. We will talk later about those configurations. Then I'm going to add vertical nailers with such configurations, then the horizontal sidings, then the secondary frame from the internal side, and then two sheeting layers. And with this configuration we are going to split the sheeting into the segments. So let's maybe first frame a few walls from this project. Okay, I'm going to select three walls and let's frame them. In this case, we're adding the main frame into those three walls from this project. Also, which is very important note, is that every wall needs to have mark value, because as you can see, the tool takes the mark value from the wall, and it knows which wall should be framed, and it frames it. And actually this mark value will be later used in making schedules and in making shop drawings. Okay, so we have those frames, and if we take a look into the plan view, we can see that the frames are created exactly where it should be, and the frames are created in the layer, in the exact layer. Now we can come back again to our model, and let's say if we're not satisfied with some maybe framing, we can make manual updates. But first, maybe I would like to show you main configuration, where you have to predefine settings for framing the walls. Actually, together with the product, we provide sample configurations. They are the most popular configurations, but those configurations could be easily modified and adjusted according to your needs. So here you can just select configuration type. So you are going to make a configuration for the main frames, or maybe for the secondary frame, or maybe for the vertical nailers. So with choosing configuration type, the tool will change settings, and you will see only the settings which go for the vertical nailers, or for the horizontal siding, or for the wooden logs, and so on. And now in the left side, you will be able to identify and to analyze settings. Let's start from the common settings. Here you just need to simply identify families which will be used for the plates, then for the vertical studs. Actually, those families, they are automatically loaded into the project, because also with the tool we're providing sample families. Then with element mark definitions, you have to predefine numbers and marks and descriptions for every member. So here you have to add what will be the header name, what will be the sill plates, what kind of mark you would like to apply to the king studs, because this information is very important, because it will be later used in scheduling and in making shop drawings. There are additional settings in the modify settings tab. And if we take a look into the wall framing, then you have just to predefine what will be the distances between the studs, what will be the top plates, what the bottom plate we're going to use. Maybe if we want, we can add additional offsets from the wall top or base. Then there are settings with where you can use for openings. Here you can apply different configurations for different window sizes, let's say. And if we take a look into the window configuration, here you can just choose your own headers from different possible header types. Then at the same time you can choose the sill plates, the trimmers. In the new version we added more options working with trimmers, because we added possibilities to identify inner trimmers and outer trimmers. So there are more options in making more complex trimmer settings. In the other settings, then you can choose what will be the top cripples and the bottom cripples, what will be the distances between them, how it will be distributed above the window, and so on. And if it's necessary additional, you can apply additional offsets. The same story we have for door framing and for other openings. Other openings, it's let's say it's very handy if your duct or pipe is going through the wall, then you can apply settings for opening framing. And that new feature in this new Wall Plus, you can identify and make adjust settings for window and window join, or window and door joins. So if your windows, they are close together, if the distance is from 0 till 90 millimeters, then you can adjust a separate configuration only for the joins. So in such case, you can apply that between such two windows. You can add your own configuration with trimmers. You can identify what will be the left type, left trimmer, middle trimmer, right trimmer, and the center trimmer. And at the same time, you can apply bottom trimmers. So as you can see in the new version, you can apply and you can just adjust your own configuration for window and window join, or window and door join. Then we have L connections. You can predefine different settings for showing what is the L connection. There are different types. Then the butt connection. Then you can just identify and add your own settings for inner L connection, not just outer L connection. The same story we have for free end connections. Then T connections. So as you can see, it's very easy to predefine your own settings, because the pictures, they are kind of easy understandable, and you can just adjust your own settings for different connections. Then, if it's necessary, we can add additional bridgings, blockings, or noggins. There are different rules. For example, in this case, I'm going to add additional plate. It will be a short noggin with such distance from the bottom of the wall. Then there are options to adjust secondary bridging, noggin, and blocking. Then we can very easily add bracings, different bracings, not just wooden bracings, but straps, for example. Then we can add additional horizontal or vertical elements into our frame, additional into some places. And which is very important, we can work more with different details. We can very easily distribute our own families into connection between stud and plate, or in the middle between two studs. For example, with this configuration, I'm saying that this anchor will be inserted in the center between two studs. Okay, so this is my rule, which automatically insert the anchor, and the anchors will be added on the top face of my bottom plate. Okay, so with these tabs we can just identify and add different rules. So in this case, you can make your own family and just add a rule how this family should be distributed. And the same with the service holes, for example, with details on the studs and the service holes on the studs. So after predefining those settings, you can save configuration with your own name, and this configuration will be saved for your future projects. And actually with you can very easily share this configuration with your colleagues, because here you can find and identify and just point the location of your framing configuration files. So this configuration, this file could be shared with your company, with your colleagues from your company. Okay, so let's say if we would like to make our own custom modification, let's say we're not satisfied maybe with such a header, because according to our regular scenario, this is just a simple plate, but here we can very easily go to modify opening frames. We can go very easily to the headers, and we can choose any other header from the list. And after pressing OK, now the tool is going to update this frame, this wall, and the tool is going to change header above this window. In this case, with modifying some particular places, you can not just make changes with the headers, but at the same time you can make changes with the studs, with the connections. At the same time, you can add additional elements like additional bridgings or additional studs according to some rules. In this case, I'm going to add the bridging horizontal plate between my selected studs with some distance from the bottom or from the top. Okay. At the same time, if you are going to make some modification with the architectural model, I'm just going to just switch to more convenient window. Let's say if you do some modifications with the window, if you are going to move a window a little bit in this project, or let's say what we need to do in this case, we just need to press on update frame, select any frame from the wall, or select the wall, and the tool is going to update all frames from this wall segment. So it doesn't matter what kind of modifications you do. You can extend the wall, you can move window, you can add a door, and according to any modifications, the tool is going to update the frames automatically. So the tool will keep the rules and configurations which you have decided before, and the tool is going to adjust the frame according to modified architecture. Now let's add additional elements. Let's add other elements. In this case, I'm going to add the secondary frame into those two walls. And you remember that our secondary frame will go to the internal side of our building. Yes, and let's check results. Here we can see that the secondary frame is added automatically, and I just want to pay attention that in this case our two windows, they are joined together, and the tool automatically actually adds this information into the window properties or door properties. So you will know that those two windows, they are joined together into the one segment, and according to our rules, one header is added above those two separate windows. So again, this is a new feature in new Wall Plus version. Additionally, if we see that the secondary frame should be aligned with the main frame, so we can very easily select any stud from the secondary frame and choose align frames with the main frame. So in such case, the tool will take a look into the distances and into the position of the main frame, and the tool is going to align those secondary frame elements. At the same time, you can align not just even frames from the same wall. If you use, for example, our floor framing, you can see that those frames were aligned. The same we're going to make with this wall segment. So in such case, you can align not just elements from the same wall, but at the same time you can align elements with the floor, with existing floor, or with the existing maybe trusses or rafters. So there is an option not just align frames from different wall layers, but also align them together with the floors or with the rafters or with trusses. Now let's add nailers. Again, in my case, I'm going to select those two walls and let's add nailers. And as you remember, there are two nailer layers in this wall. So we're going to see two nailers in one wall segment. So that's why the tool is saying that the tool is now creating 4 wall frames, because there are two nailer layers in one wall. Okay, so we're finishing with making nailers automatically around those two walls, and as you can see, we can get the result. Again, if we need and if we see that the frames should be aligned, we can just very easily align those studs with the main frame. You can imagine that if you would try to work with the Revit, you would need to make those frames manually one by one, and actually all those frames are structural framing elements. So if you can, I just want to load once again. Let's make alignment of that secondary layer. And as you can see, every frame is really structural framing, so all those frames will have analytical lines. I will show you later an analytical model, so later those frames could be used in calculation system. Okay, so we have everything now in this wall, and the last thing, we need to add sidings. So I'm going to select again those two walls. And now let's add sidings. Again, we have two siding layers in this really complex wall, and with the first siding layer, where the tool adds the horizontal sidings, and with in the second layer, the tool adds decoration and some additional studs in the corners. Okay, as you can see, this wall segment is already framed, and it really looks nice because those two walls, they are joined together into one frame. Okay, and at the same time, I would like to make just a little bit change the section box. And I want to show you the complexibility of connection, what we have done at the moment. Yeah, so as you can see how the corners, how they looks like, at the same time what are the frames around the windows, at the same time what are the connections between windows and windows. And now we're ready also to make shop drawings, but before that I just want to explain again about the new feature of the Wall Plus, that in the new version we added possibility to say what frames are built in place. So as you can see, this frame, this vertical stud, this decoration element, it has, not decoration, but it's like connecting those two different plates. So it has built-in place parameter, which indicates that this element will be not included into assembly, and we're not going to make shop drawings for this element because it's built in place. It's not prefabricated, so it doesn't come from the manufacturer. It is really built in place, and it should be created in the building site. Okay, and now more about the sheeting. In this case, we have two sheeting layers, and with the sheeting configuration you can predefine what will be the distances between the sheetings, what will be additional, maybe a top or bottom offsets, how you would like to make a connection between the sheetings in the corners or in the free ends or in the T-connections. And after making again those settings, you can save it according to your name. And for the sheeting we use parts. So I would like to switch on to the parts visibility. You know that in Revit there is possibility to distribute elements and see just regular parts, but at the same time with the parts visibility you can switch on parts. And now we have to split the parts, because in this case we have a sheeting and this is only one single sheeting, but we have to split it. So using split sheeting parts, you have to select any frame from the wall, and now the tool is going to split the sheeting into the segments. Okay, so in such case we have such sheeting which is divided into the segments. Okay, and here we have again one single plate. Yeah, so two sheeting layers, they are split into different segments. Okay, so now in the final result, if we take a look into the final project, we're going to have the final first layer should be framed like that, and it should look like this. And we're ready to make shop drawings. So with our shop drawing configuration, you can predefine what kind of views you would like to have and you would like to see for every wall. So in this case, I'm saying that I would like to see the 3D view with my predefined view template. Then we're going to make a sheeting top side view, then a front side view with the main frames, or front side view with the sheeting, and so on. And at the same time, the tool automatically will make schedules. Then you have to predefine the title block, the tag type, dimensions, which will be used for this shop drawing. And again, after saving that, we're ready to make shop drawings. So I have to select any frame from the wall, and now the tool is going to collect all frames from this wall segment. So now the tool collects all those frames and it's add dimensions automatically. At the same time, it makes some schedules, okay, and it adds tags automatically into every view. At the same time, it assigns the graphical presentment of every view. So in such case, we're going to have one assembly. Even if the tool will calculate the weight for every element, but before that, you just have to pay attention that and to make sure that every frame would have material with the density. So if the frame will have material with the density, then the tool will calculate automatically the weight or the mass for every frame and for every for assembly. So we did assembly for this wall, and let's take a look into all those views. So we have really nice looking 3D view, then we have just regular front side view, then front side view with the sheeting, with the main frames, then the front side view with the sheeting, the top side view, the plan view, view with the vertical nailers, material takeoffs, the part lists, and so on. So now we're ready to make a sheet. So in this case, I'm going to add the main frame, for example, here, and the view with the sheeting. Yes, maybe somewhere here. Then the plan view. Then here we're going to add the schedule with the main frame, then with the sheeting, then maybe the schedule with the vertical nailers, and maybe with the horizontal sidings. So in our schedule we have everything about the sheeting. We have the area, the length and the height, and the mass. And the same story we have with the sidings, with the vertical nailers, and with the frames. But the design of the schedule you can predefine, and you can make your own if it's necessary. And now with our shop drawing configuration, we're saying that this sheet will be used as a template for making our future assemblies. And let's come back into the 3D view, and let's make assembly for another wall. So let's do that for this wall segment. Yes, and now the tool makes the same things. So it makes assembly, it collects everything from this wall segment. It automatically adds dimensions, assigns the graphical presentment, adds tags automatically, renumbers elements automatically. Then the tool makes schedules, and the tool now adds views into the sheet according to my previous one. Yes, and we can just simply go to the final sheet and see the result. Yeah, so everything we have according to our previous template. Now I would like to go to one more project. Yes, so this is a fully framed house. Just I wanted to show you an example with the siding. So you cannot just even simply use the horizontal or vertical siding, but also you can make such complex and mixed configuration. So you can say that your main siding will be vertical, and only the horizontal will go above and below opening, below and above a window or door, for example. And one more example I would like to share with MP, with making cuts. So actually for making cuts automatically, we have a tool which is free of charge, and this name is cut opening free. Actually we have cut opening which is more powerful and which is more advanced, but for simple openings, if your project is not linked, or just simply create it in this project, you can use just cut opening which is free. And now we're ready to make openings. So here first we have to run interferences between pipes and ducts from the walls, and the collisions we'd like to find between ducts, pipes and floors and walls from this project. Now Revit finds those collisions, so we're going to export it into the separate HTML file. And here we have to read this information now. Okay, and here we have the list of all openings which should be added. We can maybe add some cut offsets. Okay, and we can save this information into the separate XML file. Yes, and we are going to simply insert openings. Yes, I'm checking again if everything is okay, and now the tool inserts openings. Yeah, there are 9 openings inserted in my project, and we have everything here. We have the openings, but now we are ready to frame it, and now I would like to show that even such openings could be automatically framed. In my case, those 3 openings will be not framed because they are too small for framing. Because with our framing configuration we can adjust such rule. We can say that the openings which are too small, they should not be framed automatically. And if the opening is bigger than, for example, maybe 300 millimeters, in such case such openings should be automatically framed, as we can see it here. Okay, and now I would like to switch to one more project with logs. Even such a house could be framed using the logs. In this case, we have separate functionalities for working only with the locked houses. Again, you just need to simply predefine configuration for adding logs. What will be the distance between the logs, what will be the profile, what kind of families we would like to use for adding such logs, and the tool is going to make them. At the same case, we're going to cut those logs, so the tool will make cuts between those intersecting logs. Yes, and we can just simply isolate this element, for you could see what kind of cut we have. And at the same time, maybe if we would like to add some decoration, or if we would like to add some additional extension, so we can very easily do that and make our own really nice looking decoration into this house. So even locked houses could be framed using Wall Plus. And one more example, what I would like to show is how to export everything to CNC machine. So if we would like to export that to CNC machine, we have exporters, wood framing exporters. In this case, I would like to show, actually we did export to few CNC machines. In this case, I would like to show export to Heidegger machine. So you just need to simply select the frame, and the tool will create text file which is needed to CNC machine. Okay, and the tool automatically created a file which is needed to CNC machine. And now I would like to open and to show how it looks from Heidegger software. So this frame was automatically added into this cutting machine, and as you can see, we have everything. We have the holes and the cuts which should be manufactured, and we can just push it automatically into machine. Okay, so in this case I'm showing an export to Heidegger machine, but it can be exported to any other your own machine, or maybe you use your own special machine, so we can do additional export to such CNC and to generate such CNC files which is needed for your own custom machine. Okay, so I would like to come back to my slides, and I would like to repeat again what we have added into the new version of the Wall Plus. So one big feature is that you can make a single header above different openings, so above windows, or above three windows, or above window and door, and as in this case above window, door and the window. Then you can control window and window, or window and door join, which is very powerful, and it gives you a possibility to make more complex framing. And as you can see here in those slides, you can just very easily predefine joins in this new version. So in such case, you can have even such complex joins between different openings, and as you can see here, and as we did in our Revit project. And we have improved framing technology, which allows making more complex multi-layer framing. Then you can control frames which should be built in place, right? So if we say that those frames should be created in the building place and should be not prefabricated, then we can not include it into the assembly. It will be scheduled, we will know what kind of frames we need in our project, but it will be not included into the assembly, which should be prefabricated. Then we added also possibility to link frames to connected wall. So actually, for example, those two frames could be connected to the opposite wall and to the opposite assembly. One more option, what we added possibility to recalculate position of the first and last studs. It's very handy for making and for working with the sheeting. So if we want to have precise the sheeting size from the external corners, we should use this possibility. So in such case, the studs, first and last studs, will be recalculated according to the sheeting sizes. Okay. Then smaller functionality, but at the same time very handy, added option which automatically aligns cripples below and above the opening with the main stud. Okay. And also we add possibility to distribute details on the vertical studs. So again, it's very simple and very easy functionality. I will come back again to my Revit, okay, because I would like to show this feature. Yes, I'm going to come back to my regular 3D view. We added option to add details additionally on your selected stud. So you cannot just till now you was able to add details according to some rules, but here you can predefine and add details to your own custom places with predefined distances and offset from the wall top or from the wall base. Yes, and so if we talk in general, there are a lot of different products which we have right now, which we have developed, and today we were talking about Wall Plus from the wood framing suite. But at the same time, we have the same story for the metal framing. So if you do metal frames, again, you can use the same scenario and the same workflow because we have products only for the metal frames, not just for the wooden ones. At the same time, we have smart assemblies, which very good for making shop drawings for one element, let's say for for a wall or the floor or for one frame. So it's very good for making shop drawings for prefabricated elements. Then we have tools for Revit add-ons. Here you can find different smaller solutions for adding dimensions, for numbering elements in different ways, for cutting openings, for example, like you saw today, cut opening. Then we have cut opening, which is more powerful, so it's more advanced and it allows possibility to cut openings even if your ducts and pipes are linked into your Revit project. Then we have solutions for MEP engineering. Then we have Biometry Manager, which is very good for managing parameters and parameter values which are created in your current project. Then we have Sustainable Design tools, and we have Smart Browser Group, where you can find solutions for working with your content, with your families from the library. And you are welcome to download our Tools for BIM doc, because Tools for BIM doc is our application manager where you can get everything about every product. I mean, you can see what kind of tools you use, what is your end of subscription, what trial you use. If we're adding any update, you can see those updates automatically and you are ready to have the latest version. And so it's very simple to use, and it's very easy to know and to update your tools according to the latest version. So in this case, please update Wall Plus if you have it already in your Tools for BIM doc. And to activate the product, Or to get a trial, it's very easy. You just need to go to Activate, press on Get Trial, fill the form and press OK. You will get activation code which should be added into this dialog. So you're welcome to visit our webpage, is aga-cad.com, and download and evaluate our Tools for BIM doc together with the Wool Plus. So thank you, and if you have any questions, please add those questions into GoToWebinar dialog, and I will try to answer.